The F1 circus headed to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for round 19 of Season 4, and it was Hayden Gullis who took pole position as he looks to try and catch up to his teammate in the championship fight. Jenson Button lines up alongside him in second place, with Nico Hulkenberg, the championship leader, down in third place, just behind the two front runners. It was a good qualifying session for both the Mercedes drivers, as Lewis Hamilton qualified in 4th and Nico Rosberg in 5th. Further down the field, and in Q2, both Red Bulls did not take part. So Daniel Ricciardo qualifies all the way down in 15th place, with Max Verstappen right down at the back of the field in P16. Kimi Räikkönen not having the best qualifying sessions as he was knocked out in Q1. So that is your qualifying roundup ahead of today's race. Up next, it's the Mexican Grand Prix. What is up, people, and welcome back to part 82 of my F1 2016 career mode here at the Mexican Grand Prix. It's round 19 of Season 4. It is, of course, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. We are lining up in pole position for today's race. Another good qualifying session for myself, and we need to win these last 3 races in order to try and catch up to my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg in the championship. The gap between the two of us is 22 points at the moment, so that is a huge margin that we need to catch up in the last 3 races, but we have come back from worse. If you remember back to Season 3, we won those last 3 races, and we had a gap at this stage of the season of 42 points around that. So, yeah, it definitely is possible to catch up to Nico Hulkenberg at this late stage of the season, but we just need to make sure that we knuckle down and get 3 race victories in the final 3 races. Sounds easy. It's still going to be difficult. There's Constructors' Championship. We've absolutely destroyed that, and we have already won it. But there we are in pole position of 116.276, just showing you how fast these cars are in Season 4. So before we get into today's race, let's run you through the starting grid for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's myself once again lining up in pole position like we did at the American Grand Prix. Hopefully, though, this time round we can hold onto it. Jenson Button lines up alongside us in P2 on the front row of the grid, with Nico Hulkenberg, my championship rival, right behind us on the grid in P3. Lewis Hamilton, good qualifying session for the Mercedes driver once again. He qualifies in P4 with Nico Rosberg, his teammate, just behind him in 5th, with Carlos Sainz also making it onto the 3rd row of the grid. Sebastian Vettel qualifying in the top 10 once again. He qualifies in P7 with Roman Grosjean. Good qualifying session there for the Haas drivers. He is up into P8. Fernando Alonso qualifies in P9 with Danny Kvyat just rounding out the top 10. Esteban Gutierrez just missing out on the top 10 as home Grand Prix. Hopefully for himself he can get some points here. So Kevin Magnussen lining up in 12th and Ria Haryanto in 13th with his teammate Pascal Wehrlein alongside him on the 7th row of the grid. Then it's the 2 Red Bulls of Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen, who did not take part in Q2 for some strange reasons. They are down on the 8th row of the grid with Felipe Massa not making it into Q2. He's down in 17th. Jolyon Palmer down in 18th. Kimi Räikkönen, not a good qualifying session there for the Ferrari driver. He's down in 19th position with Ericsson in 20th, Bottas in 21st, and Felipe Nasr rounding out the grid. So that is where everyone starts for today's Mexican Grand Prix. Let's head down to the track for the race strategy. A simple race strategy for today's Mexican Grand Prix. Unfortunately, we set our best time on the soft tyres in Q2. I didn't actually mean to do that. So we are starting on the soft tyres here in the Mexican Grand Prix. It means we can take them a bit further, but I do want to sort of match where the other teams around us are pitting, so I don't lose out too much time on strategy. So we may pit a lot earlier on the softer tyres. So that is what we've got at the moment. Softs, softs, then mediums, but we might change that up for softs, medium, and mediums. We'll just have to see how the race develops. But that is the race strategy for today. Let's head back to the starting grid for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's race time for round 19 of Season 4 as the lights come on now. It's 5 red lights. It's lights out, and away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's a good start compared to Jenson Button, but there's such a long rundown in towards turn 1 that anyone picking up slipstream has got the chance of taking the lead. We're all going to be very bunched up down in towards turn 1. We do need to be aware of that. Down in towards turn 1 now, very late on the brakes, a bit too late on the brakes, and we've run it very deep. And Nico Hulkenberg out of nowhere takes the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Not too sure where on earth that start came from Nico Hulkenberg, but looks like we picked up the slipstream from my teammate down in towards turn 4 now, side by side with Nico Hulkenberg. We're going to have to hold it around the outside of turn 4, holding it around the outside, giving him just enough room in towards turn 5 now. Still side by side as Nico Hulkenberg holds it around the outside turn 5 into the double right hand of turns 6 and 7, and it looks like we've just about edged out our teammate to retake the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. So much respect there between myself and Nico Hulkenberg. Yes, we are rivals, yes, we are enemies, but there is still a little bit of respect there going through corners, so we can give him enough room. But let's have a look at a replay of what exactly happened at the start, because there was yellow flags down in towards turn 1. So this is on board with Lewis Hamilton. So he started in P4 but has somehow gone all the way down to P7. So let's watch on board with the Mercedes driver. He's going side by side with Jenson Button. It looks like a Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz tries to get involved. Nico Rosberg getting involved. They're 4 wide in towards turn 1. That's never going to work out as Lewis Hamilton goes for a little bit of a half spin, holding up a few drivers behind him there, but it doesn't look like anything major happened down in towards turn 1, so it didn't look like actually anybody had damaged their front wings or anyone was facing the wrong way or anything like that, like we had at the American Grand Prix. Here's another replay on board with Lewis Hamilton. A great start compared to the McLaren of Jenson Button, but unfortunately he's just pinned on the inside. It could have been absolutely fantastic. There's Nico Hülkenberg's start. He is absolutely flying down in towards turn 1. Lewis Hamilton, he's never going to make that corner. He has to cut it anyway because they're going 4 wide. And unfortunately for him, that puts him all the way down into P7. So disappointment there for Lewis Hamilton, but that Mercedes is a lot quicker than it has been in recent races, so he could definitely work his way back. Right, let's have a look at a replay of what's happened with Nico Hülkenberg. His blistering start as he gets down in towards P2 up against Jenson Button there. Now he's following in my slipstream, goes to the inside, down in towards... No, he doesn't, but we make the mistake. We run it a bit too deep. Hülkenberg just takes his normal corner, and he's up into the lead of the race. Then there's a little bit of contact between the two of us there as I break a little bit too late into that corner. And then I pick up the slipstream now, pick up the toe all the way down in towards turn 4. I pull over to the right-hand side. It's side by side between myself and Nico Hülkenberg now. Over through this left hand of turn 4. Nico Hülkenberg giving me enough room there. Good racing, good clean racing from my teammate. Giving me room once again through turn 5 in towards turn 6. Got to try and hold it around the outside of this double head, but unfortunately it doesn't work out. He gets caught on the curbs just a little bit, so he can't accelerate to his fully potential, and unfortunately doesn't take that position. But that's good news for me, as it means that we still hold on to the lead of the race. We cut ahead to lap 5 now, watching Jolyon Palmer follow this battle between Kimi Räikkönen and Felipe Massa, I believe it is. I'm not 100% sure though. Jolyon Palmer has a look around the outside of turn 1, and he has more than a look. He actually takes both of them in one corner. Swooping move around the outside from the Renault driver of Jolyon Palmer. We're now watching on board with Kimi Räikkönen going side by side with Felipe Massa. So Felipe Massa at the moment has lost 2 positions in the space of 1 corner. He may lose another one to his teammate of Valtteri Bottas, who goes up the inside, down in towards turn 4, side by side in towards turn 5 between the 2 Williams drivers. Who's going to come out on top between these 2? It looks like Felipe Massa has the inside in towards turn 6 and 7, and it looks like he just about manages to squeeze out Valtteri Bottas and take away that position. We're cutting ahead to the end of lap 5 now, and it looks like we're making our first pit stop in this race, and Nico Hülkenberg is coming into the pits at the same time as we are. Devastating news there for Nico Hülkenberg. He's going to get held up in the pit lane by quite a bit, as he's got to wait for us to get service and possibly wait for other drivers behind him to get through. It's a 2.5 second stop for us. It's not going to be that quick for Nico Hülkenberg. Not too sure whereabouts he's going to come out, but in terms of our race, that is brilliant news for us, as it means that Nico Hülkenberg will drop way down the field, and if he struggles to make his way back through, then that means even more points gained for us. But we still have to get on with our own race. We still need to make sure that we win today's race. We're down to P16 at the moment, so we need to make sure that we come back through the field as fast as we possibly can on this set of medium tyres. And first up is, of course, the 2 Sauber drivers of Felipe Massa and Marcus Ericsson. We're right behind one of those Sauber drivers now. It's Marcus Ericsson, who's currently running in P15, down in towards this right-hander, in towards the same section, diving up the inside. Oh, so close between myself and Marcus Ericsson there through that right-hander, but we get the job done before the hairpin in the stadium section, moving up into P15, and now we'll be trying to hunt down Felipe Massa, who is just up ahead of us as we go around the final corner down onto the start-finish straight. I think there's a few drivers in the pit, so he should be able to gain a couple of positions. Yes, you can just see them there. There's a Mercedes as well, also in the pit lane, bumped up into P12. It's going to be P11 now as we swoop over to the right-hand side, take an easy overtake on Felipe Massa, and move up into P11 as we drift it through turn 1 into turn 2 and into turn 3, and putting us right on the back of 10th place, the points paying positions, which is of course Rio Haryanto. So we need to get past Haryanto as soon as we possibly can. He's currently in 10th. We are in 11th, so we'll be looking to try and get past him within the next couple of corners, and hopefully on this lap. As it looks like we're cutting it to the end of lap 7, the same position that we overtook Marcus Ericsson, now down in towards the inside of the stadium section, just about holding up the inside. So Haryanto gives us a little bit of a tap round the outside of the hairpin, can't quite hold it through there, so we're just going to have to be patient, try and get him on the start-finish straight. We know how fast in a straight line we are down that start-finish straight, so it should be a fairly easy move on Rio Haryanto as we go down in towards turn 1 now, right behind the Manor driver, picking up the slipstream picking up the DRS down in towards turn 1, moving over to the right-hand side, and it is a very, very simple move there on Rio Haryanto, moving ourselves up into P6. Up next for us is Felipe Massa, currently on the super soft tyres, so he should be coming into the pits very, very soon indeed, as we pitted on lap 5 on the set of soft, so he should certainly be pitting for a new set of tyres within the next couple of laps. We're cutting into the end of lap 9 now, as we're watching on board with Nico Hulkenberg following behind a Ferrari. There's an engine failure in the background, so Red Bull, not too sure which one it is. It could be either obviously Max Verstappen or Daniel Ricciardo, as Nico Hulkenberg goes in between a Ferrari and a Renault there of Sebastian Vettel and Kevin Magnussen up the inside in towards turn 1. Great racing from my teammate as he tries to work his way back through the field after pitting on the same lap as myself. So Nico Hulkenberg making his way back through the field. Let's have a look at a replay of Max Verstappen, who had that engine failure, unfortunately, down across the start-finish line. And unfortunately, the engine just gives away, and he has to pull over to the left-hand side of the track. And that's unfortunately the end of the race for the Red Bull team. They've still got Daniel Ricciardo in the race, I suppose, but Max Verstappen not going to be happy with that result. We're cutting ahead to the end of lap 11, start of lap 12. Daniel Ricciardo and Pascal Wehrlein have just come into the pits. That puts us back up into the lead of the race. Now, we do have to be aware of both Pascal Wehrlein and Daniel Ricciardo. I believe they're only going to be doing a one-stopper in today's race. They could possibly still be doing the two-stop. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking it's more likely that they might try and do a one-stop here today. So we're watching once again with Nico Hulkenberg, this time on the back of Rio Haryanto, doing a very similar move that I did on the Manor driver down in towards the entry to the stadium section. But this time, however, he managed to make it stick before he gets to the hairpins. That's Nico Hulkenberg up another position, and that is past Rio Haryanto. So good driving so far from my teammate. And once again, here on the end of lap 18 now, he's looking to try and get past Roman Grosjean down the start-finish straight. So what can he do here? There's a big battle going on for fourth position at the moment. Nico Rosberg, Pascal Wehrlein, who's overtaken Nico Rosberg, in fact, down in towards turn 1. So he's taken away P4. The two Mercedes going side by side now. That could really help Nico Hulkenberg. So they're going to have a bad exit out turn 3. Nico Hulkenberg picking up the toe from Roman Grosjean, pulls over to the left-hand side, overtakes the Haas driver. Can he get the two Mercedes drivers as well? Up the inside, down in towards turn 4. Nico Hulkenberg, 3 positions, maybe in one corner. Can he do it? No, he can't, unfortunately. Gets squeezed out by both Mercedes drivers. You're not going to be able to take 3 wide in towards the next couple of corners. It's just too tight through turns 5, 6 and 7. And unfortunately, Nico Hulkenberg just has to settle behind Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. We're cutting into the end of lap 20. I believe Nico Rosberg has come into the pits. So has Nico Hulkenberg and Lewis Hamilton. He looks like he's going to get past Hamilton now and Nico Rosberg in between the two Mercedes drivers, like he did on Kevin Magnussen and Sebastian Vettel earlier on in the race. And there we go. Nico Hulkenberg taking away that position from Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg and moving his way back through the fields. We're cutting ahead to the end of lap 21 now. Start to lap 22, and it looks like we are coming into the pits for our second pit stop in this race. We're going to be coming on for a new set of medium tyres. We know how long those medium tyres have already taken us. They've taken us from lap 5 all the way to lap 21. So we know that these medium tyres should be able to take us till the end of the race. We've unfortunately been dropped down a couple of positions by Pascal Wehrlein and, of course, Daniel Ricciardo as well. And that's a 2.8 second stop there from the Force India team. So a nice pit stop, but we have come out in P3, which is really, really good news. We've only lost position to Pascal Wehrlein and Daniel Ricciardo. We've got Jenson Button right behind us, so he's actually on the same strategy as we are. So we're going to go side by side, possibly down in towards turn 1. He brakes so much later than us, swoops it around the outside of turn 1. Obviously, his tyres are a little bit warmer than ours are. We are on fresh tyres, but they are so cold just coming out of the tyre blankets. And there we go, they managed to get it up the inside of turn 3 and taking away that position once again. So still in P3 at the moment in today's Mexican Grand Prix. But we've got Daniel Ricciardo and Pascal Wehrlein just ahead of us. But they still have to make a pit stop in this race, I believe, as we're cutting ahead to the end of lap 25. Yes, Pascal Wehrlein has come into the pits, and Nico Hulkenberg is trying to take away that 4th position from the Manor driver. Here we go then. Nico Hulkenberg versus Pascal Wehrlein for P4 in the Mexican Grand Prix. Pulls over to the right-hand side, and once again, a very simple move there from Nico Hulkenberg, using slipstream, using DRS, and he gets the position down in towards turn 1. So there is Nico Hulkenberg up into P4 in today's Mexican Grand Prix, which is a little bit of good news, seeing as he was held up for such a long time earlier on lap 5 because of the pit stop fave. And we're now cutting ahead here to the penultimate lap in this Mexican Grand Prix. I lead the way in P1, Jenson Button P2, Daniel Ricciardo P3, and Nico Hulkenberg there in P4. We're so close together at the moment here in this Mexican Grand Prix. Lap 36 out of 36. The final lap of the race is Jenson Button and Daniel Ricciardo go side by side. No, they don't. And Nico Hülkenberg goes around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo into the braking zone of turn 1, takes away P3, moves up into a podium position. That is not good news for us. We need to make sure that Jenson Button holds off Nico Hülkenberg. Otherwise, that is the difference between 10 points gained and 7 points gained in the championship. We have a 22-point gap, so we need to make sure that hopefully Daniel Ricciardo can actually get past Nico Hülkenberg in the final couple of corners of this race. Here we go, going through turn 6 and turn 7. In towards the S's section now. Nico Hülkenberg still holding on to P3. We're still holding on to the lead of the race despite having 3 drivers very much on our tail and putting us under so much pressure over the last couple of laps in this Mexican Grand Prix as we follow still through the S's section on board with Nico Hülkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo, Jenson Button, and of course myself. As we're back on board with myself, coming into the final couple of corners now into the stadium section. The confetti is spraying in front of the home crowd, but unfortunately the race is not done yet. We've got one more corner left to go. Can we hold on to the lead of the race? One more corner, Jenson Button right on my gearbox. It looks like it's not going to work though as we come across the line to take a victory here at the Mexican Grand Prix. It's another race win for ourselves, and that is hopefully going to put our championship back on track. Another victory here today at the Mexican Grand Prix. A great result for myself, managing to hold on to the race win right at the end there, despite having Jenson Button, Nico Hülkenberg and Daniel Ricciardo right on my tail. But we still held on to the lead of the race, and that's 25 points gained here. 10 points gained on my teammate, and that will take the gap down to 12 points going into the final 2 races. The championship is really heating up at this stage of the season. Jenson Button, he finishes today's race in P2. Nico Hülkenberg in 3rd, with Daniel Ricciardo in 4th. Pascal Wehrlein finishing in today's race in 5th. Good result there for the Manor driver, with Roman Grosjean in 6th. Carlos Sainz 7th. Fernando Alonso finishing in 8th. Nico Rosberg in 9th, and Lewis Hamilton taking the final championship point here today. With Kimi Räikkönen just missing out on the points despite starting down in 19th place, and Kevin Magnussen also just missing out. He finished in exactly the same position that he started, in fact, in P12. Taking a look further down the field then, Danny Kvyat finishing in 13th place, Valtteri Bottas in 14th. Sebastian Vettel, not a good day for the Ferrari drivers. He finishes in P15 with Jolyon Palmer 16th, Massa in 17th, Nasser in 18th, Haryanto in 19th, Esteban Gutierrez in 20th, with Ericsson in 21st, and Max Verstappen being the only driver who did not finish in today's race. Drivers' Championship then, and it looks a little bit better compared to the American Grand Prix, but it's still not perfect. We still have a 12-point gap that we need to close up on Nico Hülkenberg over the final 2 races of the season. Now, we have won those 2 races before in Season 3, but this time it's going to be a little bit more difficult as we are going up against our teammate, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get the 2 race victories there. If we can get a race victory there at the Brazilian Grand Prix, then the gap to Nico Hülkenberg is only going to be 5 points. So it'll be a 5-point gap going into the final race of the season. So that could still be quite difficult, but it means that if we get a race win, then we are guaranteed to have the championship. So 2 race wins over the 2 final races, and we are guaranteed to have the championship. But it's a lot harder than it actually sounds. Quick look at the Constructors' Championship. They're not like it even matters, though. 570 points on board for the Force India team. We've absolutely destroyed the Constructors' Championship this season. Done an absolutely amazing job, as we of course already won it at the Japanese Grand Prix. But that's it for today's Mexican Grand Prix. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you next time at the Brazilian Grand Prix for the penultimate round of Season 4. But until then, it's goodbye from me.